welcome back to my channel. And if you're new to my channel, I'm Patty, and on Mondays I make gnomes and animals and characters, and on Thursdays I do home decor and more. In honor of Military Appreciation Month, which is this month, I wanted to be sure and do a gnome that was a military gnome, and so this is my little Air Force gnome. If you want to know how to make him, stick around. I'll show you how. Okay, for this gnome, you're going to need some light blue fabric, some dark blue fabric. You're going to need a hand mold if you're going to make the hands, and some clay. If not, you can use 2 little brown beads for the hands in place of that. You're going to need a bead for the nose. You're going to need some paint. You're going to need a wire for the hands, some sticks, a pool noodle, some hair noodles, a couple little baby shoes. You're going to need some craft foam, some fabric for the shoes. You're going to need some faux fur, and then you're going to need a piece of chipboard. Okay, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to build our hat. We're just going to take this piece of fabric that's 13 by 4, and we're just going to cut a curve around the top edge just to make that make the hat look right. Okay, then we're going to open it up and we're just going to glue it in. So we're going to seal it up, and then we're going to turn it right side out. Okay, then we're going to take the top part of the hat, and on the 5 1/4 inch side, we're going to fold it over and we're going to glue both sides down. Just 2 sides. Okay, then we're going to take our other hat piece, we're going to turn it right side out, and then I'm just going to use a bone folder just to kind of shape the end of it because you want to have that nice curve. Then we're going to take our other piece, we're going to hem it up 1/4 inch before we turn it right side out. Okay, then we're going to take a piece of 2-inch cardboard or chipboard, fold it over, and we're going to cut it to the length of the hat, and we're just going to spot glue that in, and that's going to make it have a nice point at the top of the hat. Then we're going to just put it over our ornament, and we're going to glue it in. And now I didn't say a second ago, but I ironed the top part of my hat before I put my chipboard in it. So you're just going to glue around just on the side edges only. Don't glue the whole thing around or your hat won't look right. Then we're going to take our other piece, we're going to turn in the raw edge, and we're just going to glue that sealed. Now we're going to go right over the front edge of this. Don't go at the peak, at the point. Go just a little bit over it, and we're going to glue it in. And we're going to come down. We are measuring it down from where the chipboard is. You can feel it on the outside of the hat. You're just going to go right over the very edge of that. That's how far down you're going to make your hat. And just wrap it all the way around, and just get your noodle. It helps it to hold it in place while you're gluing it in. But you're gluing right at the edge of that cardboard. And then finish gluing it in. Next, I'm just taking a piece of light blue fabric, and I am going to hem up the bottom part, the top part, and one side. And you can skip this part if you want to. This is going to be his shirt, but if anybody lifts up his beard, they'll see that he doesn't have a shirt or a tie on, and I'm putting a shirt and a tie on mine. We're just going to glue up 3 sides, and then we're going to roll that noodle in it. And it'll also help make the red not show through. And just roll it up along the top edge, and then glue it in. Next, I'm just going to add a little tie right down the center. Okay, now we're going to make his jacket, and we're going to just make it where it's a half inch over the edge of the noodle, because you want his jacket to come over the noodle, and that's about a 1/2 inch. And then we're going to glue up another side for the front. And then we're going to lay our noodle in there, and we're just going to come up over the top, and you're just going to have to figure this one out on your own on exactly where it is. I don't have any marks on it, but you just kind of want to come just almost to the end of the tie and fold those two pieces back so that they overlap. Just make sure that they're even at the top and that you are overlapping to the right. Then we're going to just take a pin and poke into each one of those to hold them in place, and then I'm going to go iron mine. After you iron it, go ahead and glue those flaps down. And then we're just going to fold it over and glue it in. Just make sure it lines up at the bottom real well. And then go ahead and glue around the top to hold it in. Okay, next I'm going to cut my beard. I'm making it at 2 inch wide by 2 1/4 inches in length. And I'm just going to cut a U shape around there, cutting the backing only, and then cleaning the excess fur off. Next, I'm going to take a piece of craft foam that's gold glitter. I'm poking punches 3 holes in it, and that's what I'm going to use for my little buttons for the front. And that's a craft foam glitter. I got that at Hobby Lobby. Okay, now we're going to make some pockets. We're just going to take all 4 of these, and we're just going to glue up 4 sides. 2 of these will be the pocket, and 2 of these will be the flap over the pocket. So this one's going to be the flap over. After I get it folded in, I'm going to go ahead and fold it all the way over. And that's going to be a flap. Just make sure it's all tucked in there good. And then we're going to just make the pocket, just 4 sides on this. And we're going to do the same thing for the other 2. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and attach them. I'm just going to put glue all over the back of them. And then I'm going to attach them probably about a 1/4 inch from the edge of his jacket. And do the same thing for the opposite side, and then we'll come back in and put the flaps over them. Just make sure that your pockets are even on both sides. Then just glue your flap right on top of it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the shoes. I'm just taking 2 of the Dollar Tree baby shoes, and I'm going to put 2 5/16 inch nuts in there to give it the weight. And then I'm going to glue the bottom on. And I made this a little bit big in the picture here, but I adjusted the pattern for you to be the right size. So go ahead and glue those on, and then we're going to come back in and cut little slits around them and glue them up the sides. Now I'm going to have to trim mine off here, but I adjusted the pattern already accordingly. And then just glue it straight up the edge, and this will give it a nice finish on the bottom. Then we're going to come back in with the back and put the back on first. Just center it down the back of that shoe. Put the center on there. And then we're going to just glue around the edges. And then on the front, go ahead and just glue the very center point down at the bottom of the shoe, but let it dry because you are going to have to stretch these. And I'm using the Cricut faux suede, and it stretches real well. You'll have to use something that stretches if you're going to use this pattern, but you're going to go ahead and just pull it all the way down to the bottom. And you'll have some buckling in the front part, but we're going to cover that up with the trim here in a minute. But you got to have to stretch that on down there. Pull it and stretch it. And then go ahead and put your trim all the way around the front to the back. And then the little short pieces, we're going to save those because we're going to do something with his legs first before we put those on. And those other 2 pieces will go at the top part of his shoe. And as you're gluing this, just pull it and stretch it, and it'll make a nice finish edge on the shoe. And then just glue those in the back, and then we're going to do the same thing for the other shoe. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and do his legs. I'm going to take a noodle, I'm pulling the wire out, and I'm going to cut them at 4 inches. Now, it's not what I show on the ruler. I had to go back in and add some more, but cut yours at 4 inches. And then we're going to go ahead and put a stick in it. I'm using a 1/4 inch by 6 inch dowel stick, and I went ahead and sharpened one end. And I just sharpened those with a pencil sharpener. Okay, now we're going to put some batting on the bottom. This is a 4 by 3 inch piece of batting, quilt batting. I'm just wrapping around there, and I'm wrapping it around the bottom so that that noodle will fit real snug in that shoe. And then we're just going to glue it inside the shoe, and we're going to stick that inside of there, and just make sure it goes all the way down to the bottom, because you need to make sure that your legs are the same height. And then I'm just taking a pair of tweezers and pushing it all the way down inside that shoe where you don't see it. And then you're going to do the same thing for the other one. Just make sure that they're both standing up straight. And then this is where we're going to put the other part of the shoe, the trim on the top part of the shoe. Just put it on there and stretch it around, and you'll have to trim off a little bit on this one too. And then go ahead and put them inside the noodle. Just space them out evenly on both sides, but make sure that they're kind of centered. Okay, now we're going to take another piece of 3x4 batting, and we're just going to fold it up as well, just like we did the other one. And what this is going to do, it's going to give a little bit more meat to the top part of his leg so that his pants will lay good. So you're just going to wrap that around there, and you're going to glue it in, and then we're going to put a rubber band around it also. Just make sure that you get it turned, that the part that's got the most of the batting, the end of it, is in the back. And then put your rubber band around it and do the same thing with the other shoe. With the other leg. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and make our pants. We're going to hem up 2 sides on this. One long side and one short side. And then just fold it in thirds. So you're going to fold it over and over. So it's folded in thirds. And just glue that down. Make sure that your legs are even. And then glue that down. And then go and press it. I went and put a crease in the center of mine. Then I'm taking a 1 inch piece of chipboard, folding it in half. And that's what's going to keep that nice crease down the front of those pants. And I'm just scoring right down the center and folding it over and putting the pointy part out. Then just lift those off the shoes and then glue in the bottom. And then trim off any excess that you have on top. But be sure and iron a crease in that pant leg. And then go ahead and attach them to the shoes. Both sides and in the back as well. Okay, then we're going to just cut slits in the top part on both of them, and then we're just going to glue them straight down over the top. And then we're just going to go ahead and glue those in. And if you want to seal up the bottom of it, there's a circle laying there that's 2 1/4 inches. But by the time I got them in there, you really didn't see much of the red, so I didn't put it in. Just make sure that those are glued in well. Okay, next we're going to make the hands. I'm just taking some air dry clay, and I'm just going to put some peach paint in it to kind of mix it up to make it skin tone. Just mix it up real good, and then we're just going to press it into our mold. Now go ahead and open your mold up and then press it in. Just keep pushing it in till you get it all the way in there, and then just start taking any of the excess off. You just want to keep taking it off until you can see the complete hand, and you just kind of roll it back a little bit. Just make sure that it's smooth on the inside. Then go ahead and pop them out and put the wires on them. Okay, next we're going to do the arms. We're just going to take a noodle, a hair noodle. We're going to pull the wire out, and then we are going to cut those at 3 1/4 inches in length. So both of them are going to be 3 1/4 inches in length. Okay, then we're going to come down and measure 1 3/4 inches down from the very tip of the top, and that's where we're going to cut our hole to run our wire through. That's where his arms are going to go. Go ahead and cut both ends of that wire off and run it straight through the body, out the other side. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and make the arms. We're going to glue down, go ahead and glue down the top and the bottom. I had to go back in there and glue the top in after I'd already finished putting them together, but go ahead and glue it in to where it's overhanging the noodle about 1/4 inch. Go ahead and put some glue inside there and put that hand on in there. And you probably want to check to make sure that your hand is glued to that wire, because if it's not, it will come off. Okay, just make sure they're even, and then we're going to go ahead and cut at a little bit of an angle so that that'll set up nice with the body. And we're going to do it to both of them. Just make sure that your palms are facing inward. And then go ahead and feel where your wire is inside your hand, where your hand is, and cut off the excess, because you only want that wire to go up to that other wire. Okay, then we're just going to roll those up, making sure that the seam, it will go into the back. So you may have to roll it up and then just kind of turn it to the back just to make sure before you glue it in. Just get it lined up and then make sure it's glues into the back. And I made these arms a little bit beefy because if you are going to be able to put the patch on it, then you have enough room to do that. And then go ahead and glue that hand on into that arm. And then do the same thing with the other one. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and cut off just a little bit, and then this is where I'm tucking it in. And you could have done that from the beginning. Just want to tuck it in to where it's maybe almost all the way down to that noodle, but not quite. And then when you attach this to the arm, we're going to put some glue inside the noodle, and then put some glue inside the jacket, and we'll push it on up there against the arm. And that way it'll grab the inside glue and you won't have glue on the outside. So go ahead and put a little bit of glue in there first to hold that wire in. And then put some glue inside that noodle to put that arm on. Fit them up there first if you want to, and then glue them in. And then just put a little bit of glue around there, and then just, I'm sorry I got out of the screen a little bit, but you're just gonna push them in there, and then that glue will grab onto the jacket. And then let those dry real good, and then we're gonna bend the arms down. But make sure it's dried good before you start doing that. Okay, then we're going to take some glue and put it just in the very back part of the hat, just to hold it on. And then we're going to pull the sides of the hat down and glue those on both sides. Just pull it down to where it's just right above the arms. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the nose. And I'm just using a 15mm half bead. I'm just going to stick it right up underneath the hat. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the top of the hat to hold it on. Okay, next, these patches, if you can cut these out, if you have a Cricut or something like that, you can cut it out. I've included the SVG file for that. And I got one for both shoulders. If you don't, you can cut out the blue one by hand, and then you could actually take a silver pen and draw your little lines. And then we're just going to put them on each of the shoulders, or just below the shoulder. All right, it was pretty easy little gnome. I mean, there's a lot of steps to him, but that's not that hard to make him. Okay, if you like the video, hit like. If you want to see future videos, hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I have another video, hit the bell. Thanks for watching.